Say good morning to Mark Feinsand, who was
Are you a consultant, Mark?
leading the league in information and with real information today. Mark, good morning. I don't know to whom we attribute this story. I heard it through J.P. Morosi. Give us some more details on DJ Lemahieu likely to return to the Bronx. That's good news for Yankees fans.
Yeah, JP was all over this before the sun came up this morning, but sources have told both JP and myself that the Yankees and DJ Lemahieu are closing in on a deal. It could be done as soon as today. It's unclear what the terms are going to be. There's been some question about whether he's going to get 4 years or 5 years. My hunch is it's going to be 4 years at a little higher of an AAV than maybe he was being offered initially. Maybe we'll see an option in there, but it was very clear from the beginning that the Yankees wanted DJ back and DJ wanted to come back to New York. So you had to figure, and I think the feeling throughout the game was that in the end, these two sides would work it out and Lemahieu would return.
So we don't have a sense for the financials here yet, Mark. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, that's still up in the air. I mean, you know, people that I've talked to over the past few days have said they thought this would come in somewhere around the Josh Donaldson contract, which was 4 years for $92 million. Yeah. LeMahieu wanted a fifth year. The Yankees were reportedly holding around 4 for $80. So my guess is there was some compromise there, and I wouldn't be surprised if that Donaldson number is right about where it comes out.
Tell you what, though, this is well played by DJ. He had a lot of suitors. He knew he wanted to come back to New York, and he knew the Yankees wanted him. So you ride it out. And he legitimately may have been thinking about leaving, which, knowing him, he's very honest and very forthright. He may have been considering it, but it's nice to have the Jays, have the Mets, have all the different things out there, and let them have to come back and get you.
And let's face it, the market helped him, too, in terms of not so much in the AL East, but the White Sox loading up, the Mets loading up.
Yeah.
I think that all kind of played a part in this, and I guess we'll await further word confirmation.
So Mark, last thing on that, what other clubs were serious contenders in this?
Well, the Blue Jays have been in on him from the get-go. The Mets, I think they were, the Dodgers, I think there had been a little bit of interest. The Blue Jays were the primary competition, though, but I've come back to this the whole time. When is the last time the Yankees had a free agent of their own that they wanted to bring back that they didn't bring back?
I love history.
I can't remember the last one, right? Maybe Andy Pettitte in 2003, although there were other circumstances with him wanting to go home. Robinson Cano, they didn't really want to bring him back at what it was going to cost to bring him back. When the Yankees have somebody and they want to bring him back, they do what's necessary to bring him back. This was a slow play on both sides, trying to make sure this is the right deal. And obviously right now they seem to have come to what they both believe is the right deal.
Indeed. Lay, let's move on because we have another report, and this one seems like it's done. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we get word that Archie Bradley is the latest attempt for the Phillies to fix the bullpen. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, you knew the Phillies were going to go after some relievers this winter after having just a horrific bullpen last year. A lot of injury issues and inconsistency. Archie Bradley was non-tendered by the Reds after acquiring him at the trade deadline. And he got a 1 year, $6 million deal from the Phillies. And, probably even a little bit higher than he might have landed in arbitration, but a good deal for Bradley and obviously a good arm for the Phillies, who desperately needed that bullpen help.
This is a high-end all-star pitcher.
High-end all-star pitcher indeed, but maybe one of just a few, because I think we'd all agree, Harold, that yes, Archie Bradley, really nice ad, but more is needed in that bullpen.
Oh, yeah, they're not finished yet, but they're starting it backwards. If you can get a closer, then you can fill in the blanks. You know he can shut a game down for you at the end. They couldn't even shut a game down. So this allows Joe and Dombrowski to go to work.
And not for lack of trying either. I mean, they uncovered a lot of rocks last year to try to find help for that bullpen, and mysteriously none of it seemed to work. Hey, Mark, so coming up around midday today, the big arbitration deadline. There are all kinds of ramifications coming from it once we learn about some answers today. Talk about some of the big storylines that we'll tackle along with the deadline.
So today's the day where teams have to file their numbers with the players, and most of them will settle 1 year deals leading up to this deadline because nobody wants to go to a hearing. Obviously, some will. But I think today is a day where a lot of teams will have a little more clarity on what their payroll situation looks like. Look at the Yankees. They have 6 potential everyday players who are still unsigned in this arbitration process. So, what is Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, Clint Frazier, Luke Voigt, Gleyber Torres, and Gio Urshela. What are those guys going to make? That could be a $10, $12, $15 million swing depending on settlements, first hearings, and that kind of thing. So it's a very important day. Some players specifically to watch. Josh Hader went to a hearing last year. It was very contentious. He lost, even though having won back-to-back Reliever of the Year award, so we'll be interested to see what he does. Corey Seager, probably the player who benefited the most from the shortened season. The shortened season is going to be a big issue in the arbitration process because nobody knows how to value it. It's a 60-game season, not a full season. But Corey Seager, obviously, with his heroics in October, stands to benefit greatly. And the other thing we're watching is Francisco Lindor. We know he's going to get a big number. The question is, will the Mets and Lindor come to an agreement on an extension? Will they agree on a one-year deal and then continue talks? Will they go to a hearing? Lindor has said he's open to an extension but won't negotiate after opening day. So there is a bit of a clock on that one. So just a few of the storylines. I have a big arbitration primer up on MLB.com if you have any more questions. And there's a lot of stories.
Yeah, you identify a lot of storylines. This is really a great read. And I was unaware of this group of pitchers that are all first-time ARB eligible. Get a load of this. Jack Flaherty, Walker Buehler, Lucas Giolito, Luis Castillo, Max Fried. Yeah. I mean, all those guys, as you point out in your piece, Mark, have an opportunity to set, potentially new first-time ARB-eligible records in their individual cases.
Yeah, and you've got some pretty big hitters as well. Juan Soto, Matt Chapman, and Rhys Hoskins, all Scott Boras clients. They are all first-time eligible as well. So the first-time eligible class this year has some really big names in it.
All right, let me lock in on the financials.
Financials are going to be
the interesting thing with those guys, too, is that they're probably not looking at extensions. A lot of times you get to arbitration so you can get a long-term deal. And, Scott is known for wanting to take guys all the way to the end to free agency, which is 3 years away. So we'll see how those go. But
yeah, hey, Mark, if you're still with us here, I want to ask you about that specifically. Harold kind of reminds me of the Francisco Lindor case. Is there a chance that the Mets and Lindor's camp announce a long extension before ARB figures are exchanged today? And if they do so, will it be after 1 p.m. Eastern so we don't have to do the press conference?
I doubt that you'll get that today. There's not really any pressure on the two sides to get an extension done by this date. If you think about a couple of years ago, Nolan Arenado agreed to a one-year, $26 million deal, which at the time was the biggest arbitration contract of all time. And just a month later, he signed that monster $260 million deal with the Rockies. So, I expect the Mets and Lindor will announce a settlement today on the 1 year. They'll continue to speak about an extension, and it would not surprise me at all if we get that extension announcement, sometime during spring training.
A lot of news today, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the week, right? Because of the deadline today, because I guess we're close with Lindor. Bradley's off the market now. A lot of news today. Mark Feinsand on a Friday, and Mark will be back with us a little bit later on.